I wanted to listen to this.
Know that the event, those who attended it, the sessions were punctuated by meals. I don't care, Bill. I literally don't care at all what you ate. I understand there was an itinerary. I just don't care. Conspicuously missing, okay, and kind of wraps it up. And he's like, in short, this was not an intervention to blackmail Charlie into adopting certain views on Israel. It was nothing of the sort. Okay, buddy, I never said you blackmailed Charlie. I asked you if this moment happened. I asked you about Bibi Netanyahu. I asked you about whether or not there was pressure that was put on Charlie, which the attendees themselves are telling me that this happened, okay? So what's going on here? Also, it's rather conspicuous, given yesterday's episode, and of course he had a big timing here, like, I shouldn't even respond to her, she's so widow. You're a widow. I just love billionaires, right? They're just so full of themselves. Their arrogance matches their bank accounts. Like, oh, we should all be like, oh, he's got billions. Let's just take it. Well, he couldn't do anything wrong. Yeah, you need to answer basic questions, and we gave you an opportunity to do that. Conspicuously missing is you not addressing whether or not Charlie was offered more money and funding from Bibi Netanyahu. Could you help us out? Whether or not Bibi Netanyahu invited him to Israel as a last-ditch effort to reaffirm his support for Israel. Or if, as I asserted, and as I maintain, Charlie was being pressured throughout this event about his viewpoints on Israel, and to him, he reflected that this felt like an intervention. Okay? Can you answer those basic questions? That would be great. Like I said, it's interesting. I didn't even mention Bibi Netanyahu at all. You can stand up to him. And does anybody want to jump in and say, no, yeah, the letter Charlie wrote him in May was just like a glowing, he just was overcome with passion and said, I love Israel. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful. We're going to win this thing and you're perfect and doing nothing wrong. Love you, Bibi. I just find that weird that no one wants to address the substance of the claims here, whether or not maybe Bill himself has an opinion on whether Bibi lied by severe omission when he mentioned his last correspondences with Charlie. Because I feel like if Charlie said, I don't want to go to Israel, maybe don't bring up, I just invited him. I guess if it was friendly and everything was great and he was just going to come out, and sadly he won't be able to make it out here.
In shock and still anchored by what happened to Charlie Kirk. One thing is clear is that there's a lot of murky behavior and murky topic here. And one thing is clear that there are some issues regarding Israel and Netanyahu and Bibi, of course. And one thing that is clear is that Candace Owens explained that it's true that Charlie Kirk, before his death, was getting a lot of issues and was not in good terms with his sponsors, especially the Zionist sponsors, especially Bill Kirk and others. And you can tell that the same thing is that many people are not happy with Bill Ackman, and especially Candace Owens and Carlson. These people have highlighted that, yes, we can say that Charlie Kirk was killed, but we know that you guys were pressuring him and were not happy that Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith made an appearance during his event and spoke. And why? Because these people are not happy with the actions of Israel. And one thing is, if they are not happy, could there be a conspiracy behind all this? Yes, we know, and we are not saying that Israel was behind Charlie Kirk's death, but it's clear that you cannot come here to act like you loved Charlie Kirk so much, especially what we have seen with Bibi posting almost every day about Charlie Kirk, and actually posting about exactly after 8 minutes after his attack, he had posted. But deep down, he was pushing Charlie Kirk. And most people know very well that Charlie Kirk, especially the interview with Ben Shapiro, you can tell that Charlie Kirk had started changing his narrative and changing his position on matters regarding the G crimes that Israel government is committing. And this is clear. And people can tell that Bill Ackman is hiding something. And we have seen even yesterday how he posted and replied to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Megyn Kelly also highlighted this.
leads up to something that happened between Charlie and me on this show about a month ago, August 6th. Okay, and the audience experienced this with me. So I'm just going to set up what's happening so everybody understands. Bibi Netanyahu went on Fox News on September 11th, the day after Charlie was shot, and commented on the loss of the man he said was his friend. And here's that in SOT 1 in part.
He was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel.
Okay, so Candace, who's been critical of Israel in this conflict, did not appreciate that we had a foreign leader reading part of Charlie's letter, trying to characterize his stance on Israel without giving it its full measure, because it had changed a bit in recent months. And she is not wrong about that. She responded on her show, and Candace was very good friends with Charlie. I mean, she called herself a Mason of Turning Point, and she is. She is. She helped build that group when she was coming up and Charlie was coming up, and they're both very young. They were out there at many events together before anybody knew the name Turning Point or Charlie Kirk for that matter. And I was actually very moved by the video montage she showed of pictures of her and Charlie together and singing together and dancing, having a great time. You know, they're young in this business and figuring things out. So I believe Candace is sincere in her upset around Charlie's everything. I mean, obviously around Charlie's death, but around people trying to talk for him and say, sort of summarize his position on something as controversial as Israel. So here's what she said, again, in part.
And one clear is, Candace Owens have started one thing, release the footage of Charlie Kirk with a mic during that event where there was conflict, why he had invited Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, who oppose the actions of Israel in Gaza and or Palestine at large. And this is the thing. Majority of influencers are having pressure to support this government, and you question why. And this is also a motive that also need to be investigated, because when someone is not happy with your actions, and certainly someone has assassinated you, we need to look at a broader scope, not only the shooter, maybe the shooter. And remember, there's also one thing that Candace Owens has highlighted. This Zin guy who had been in 9/11, and now we know that this guy also disrupted and confused the police by playing and acting like he was the shooter. So he gave the shooter a chance to disappear. So we can see that all these things do not look like it's similar. And somehow I agree with Candace Owens that this may be not an event of one person. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Do you agree the shooter was acting alone? And what do you think about this Bill Ackman and Israel regarding Charlie Kirk and their conflict on who he invited in his sessions, especially those opposed to Israel government? Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I'm your host, James. Remember to subscribe and share.